Here we go. Check this out.
This is Whole Nother Level with Dwayne Lindo.
You know, frankly, I feel that we shouldn't even be talking about this. Simple as that.
Frank Mazzei.
Did they win the offseason in free agency? Yes. What does that mean? Absolutely nothing.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Greg Cousins.
How can you not put Tom Brady number one on the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks? Man, this guy's a legend. Rings speak.
And Eric Wilson.
I didn't know Eric was going to let you talk.
Don't hate the player, hate the game. I've seen enough Facebook posts to know that you're not a Giants fan. Let's go.
And welcome to another edition of Whole Nother Level. A little short staff today alongside me. We got the factual Frank Mazzei. We got Chad from Off the Cuff running the board today as well. He'll be chiming in throughout the show. A couple people are out of town, including Eric and Dwayne, so we're just going to try to pull through today. We have a lot to talk about. A lot has happened since last time we've been here in the studio, including another championship for the only LeBron James. So congratulations to him and the city of Cleveland, more importantly, because that's something that they have been needing, wanting for a very, very long time. 53 years, I believe it has been, since the last time any professional sport has won a championship in Cleveland. So kudos to them. Of course, they do have their Ohio State Buckeyes around that area. So, you know, they did have something to root for. But we're going to get into that today. We're going to touch a little bit about that game. I know it's about a week out, but we haven't been on since then. We're going to really dig deep into the NBA draft and what was and wasn't around, what we liked from the draft and where we think teams are going to go. We're also going to dig deep into free agency. And then, of course, we're going to cover the NFL. NFC West, including the NFL. So lots to get to today. If you have any questions along the way, feel free to hit us up on the 941-358-5701 phone number in the Fresco Fades hotline. We want to hear from anyone about anything that we're talking about, discussing today. So, Frank, let's just go right off the top here. LeBron James wins the title. He had some great plays in the final game. 3 straight games of just beasting. 41 points, Game 7, triple-double. Whether it be that Draymond Green got suspended for Game 5 or not, he was still there for Game 6, Game 7. They had their full staff. They could not get it done. Kudos to the Cleveland Cavaliers for winning the championship.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know what Golden State was waiting for, if they thought that they were going to get him in Game 8 or 9. I mean, we talked about it all year. I mean, you set that record, and now that means basically absolutely nothing. Because all everybody is going to remember is LeBron got a 3rd championship. And by the way, if Draymond Green, is he the only one that knew that Game 7 was happening that night?
Apparently, and they didn't get him the ball enough because he was hot. I would have just kept feeding him.
If he doesn't play like that, they get blown out.
Oh, yeah.
He's the only guy that actually showed up and did anything.
It's funny that you say that, too, because I think Steph Curry has gotten almost a pass for this. 73 win season in the regular season. Granted, they came back to beat Oklahoma City in that series, which I think Oklahoma City basically should have been playing in the title game. Who's more pissed off at this point than Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant that they blew that series? Because they definitely could have had a chance in the NBA Finals. But with that said, Steph Curry did not have a good series. Klay Thompson showed up here and there. Draymond Green was the only consistent part the entire way, but it wasn't enough for Golden State to get it, John. And now they'll go down as the New England Patriots of the NBA. Awesome regular season and then lose it. And that pains me to say, being a Patriots fan. Yeah,
definitely. And look, I mean, for LeBron, 3-4 sounds a lot better than 2-5 in championship finals. So
yeah, I mean, he went from a player that everyone's like, oh, is he a top 5, top 10 player? Winning that ring solidifies himself as a top 5 player in majority of people's minds. You know that I always hate comparing errors. That's one of the things. That's one of my pet peeves. Yeah. But if somebody asked me to put my top 5, well, first off, let me go back to what Eric said a couple weeks ago. Is that Dwayne Wade's in the top 5 players in the NBA currently? That was a joke. But I will put LeBron James.
Wait, right now?
Yes, we had that conversation, and he actually put him in there. But that's another story. But yeah, LeBron James has made his way into the top 5 in NBA history. Granted, different errors, different players, different defensive schemes. Are you able to play defense? Is it a shooter's error? These type of things. But, in my opinion, he really has.
Where does he rank among modern athletes, though, considering that he went back home and brought back the elusive title.
So are you saying modern athletes as far as sports in total or just
Let's
NBA?
throw the Bradys in there. Let's go all the way back to what we know, Jordans, the Bradys, those guys.
Man, that's a tough question. Give me a second to think about that.
Because there's probably no other athlete that people are as 50-50 on, because they just out and out hate Brady for the most part.
Yeah.
You know that as well as anybody.
I know it. I take it every year.
But it's
Trust
so
me, being a
funny the
Patriots
way
fan.
that I am with LeBron. When he first shows up on the scene, I'm like, this kid's good for the game. Okay, kid, do something. Oh, you're going to run away and go to Miami? Oh, okay, well, good, you lost. Oh, okay, I'm glad he got a ring. Okay, good, the Spurs got you. Oh, you're going to go home now? Oh, thank God he won, man. You know, it's you go back and forth with this guy. And the thing about it is, he's a great person from everything that we read. He's sending all these kids from Akron, Ohio to the University of Akron, pledged $87 million the other day. I mean, that's just...
I couldn't agree more, actually. And one of the things that LeBron James has always done has been a staple in the NFL as far as integrity. He hasn't done anything wrong besides... the decision.
Well, yeah,
that's a basketball decision, though.
Yeah. That
Like,
was just bad.
He has not done anything
At the same
off
time,
the court.
though, how much did that raise for a Boys and Girls Club of America?
Yeah, and it really did. But he's one of those players now that you have to say, yeah, he is up there as far as athletes winning multiple championships and multiple teams. And I'll be the first to say I disliked him very hardly when he went to Miami. Caller on the line. What do we got?
What's going on, Craig?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good.
What do we got today?
Not much, man. I'm just chilling down here at Navy Pier. I just passed Harry Carey's Tavern in Chicago.
Oh,
I
nice.
The call and see what's going on.
Yeah, man, we're just we're missing you here in the studio today, but we're just talking a little bit of LeBron James and kind of where he ranks as far as in the game today, and then overall, and then we were kind of ranking him a little bit, as far as NBA history, where he's basically solidified himself as a top 5 NBA player of all time.
Yeah, the one thing you can't say about him anymore is that the man is not a true all-star or superstar. The fact that him and the Cavaliers rewrote history, that speaks volumes. So the debate, as far as I'm concerned, is over as far as is he one of the greats. The answer is a resounding yes. Now, as far as overall, top 5, I'll throw him in the category. Overall, definitely will.
He has to at least be in the conversation now.
Yes, at the minimal. But, I mean, also, you look at what he did with the cast of characters that's around him. I mean, never, I don't think, in our history of NBA. And, listen, I'm going on 40 years, 4 decades of watching the Jordans of the world, and then going so fast as to watch Dr. J's of the world. We saw so many greats come through, but they were great because they were a part of a team. And that's not to show love to Kyrie, Kevin Love, Shumpert, Dellavedova, all those guys, but truly it was about LeBron.
No, absolutely, and he's going to get all the credit for it, regardless of Kyrie hitting shot after shot after shot when it really mattered. I got to ask a question though: are those Moroccan drums I hear in the background over there?
Yeah, man, we got a bunch of street performers out here playing on a bunch of buckets. We got the huge Navy Pier Ferris wheel. I mean, it's amazing out here, and the weather is beautiful.
Good. It's a lot better than this here because it's been raining over here. So good. I'm glad you're enjoying your vacation.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys a quick question, because I know this is something that I've kind of wanted to get off my chest. And I know I want to talk to Frank because I know he's there. So, Frank, we talked last week, and you were still sold on Golden State. And I want to ask what your opinion is now, because as we said, if Golden State didn't win, that 73-9 record didn't mean crap.
Wait, Golden State won 73 games this year?
That's what I'm saying. See, you already forgot about it.
Oh, wow. Okay. I mean, yeah, good for them. No, I'll tell you what I told Craig earlier. I said, look, Draymond Green is the only one that got the memo that there was a Game 7, because he's the only guy that showed up. I mean, the rest of them pretty much played like garbage. I mean, Sean Livingston had, a decent game. Harrison Barnes, he played, right? I mean, he was in the series.
He was on the court, I guess, at one point.
Oh, okay. Look, I don't know what they were waiting for, if they thought there was going to be another game, but to go out like that. I mean, because after the first 2 games, look, I thought maybe I was like, man, Cleveland might just get swept or done in 5. And then when it came down to Game 7, I couldn't pick against them. I was like, okay, 1 game for the championship at Oracle on your home court. There's no way that you don't show up. And what happens? They didn't show up.
Yeah, okay. Like I said, I just wanted to get yours because you were the man. You and your tag team partners, Wayne, last week were all about, and I get you. 1 game, 48 minutes on your home court. You're absolutely right. But I guess they just didn't get it done. Fellas, I'm going to let you go. I'm about to order some lunch, but I just wanted to call in. Man, as always, I'm listening. Great show. I can't wait to get back in the studio next week. I mean, listen, we're celebrating a true milestone the next 2 weeks, guys.
Yeah, your birthday.
Well, besides that, we're also we're celebrating a true milestone because it'll be almost a year that we have done whole nother level. So
that's it. We're gonna have to have a get-together celebration or even an inaugural 1-year show to the date. But yeah, listen, enjoy your birthday out there. For everybody that doesn't know, Eric Wilson turning the big 4-0, officially over the hill. So go out there and enjoy yourself.
40, but I might be turning 40, but that's a little better than all of y'all. So that's all good.
Maybe about Philly sports. That's about it.
Oh, all right. I'll talk to you later.
All right, sounds good. To get back what Eric was just saying, though, granted, or actually you even said it, Draymond Green showed up. Did anybody else show up? But even with that, it's crazy that me watching the game was like, does anybody even want to win this game? With about 4 minutes left, it's a tie game. Yeah. So it was for anybody. It was up for grabs. Anybody could have had it.
Imagine those NBA detractors who's like, all right, let's see what all this hype's about. It's about 2 minutes left, and Golden State doesn't score the rest of the way.
Yeah, it's just crazy. And that block that LeBron James came out of nowhere, that's what he does. People are saying of course, the Golden State fans are yelling goaltending. It wasn't even close to a goaltend. He got all of it.
That's a career-defining play. Every great has that instant replay-like moment that they just continue to replay throughout history, and that was LeBron's. Now imagine if he would have slammed that dunk home at the end of the game.
And I thought he
Draymond.
did, and then I thought he broke his arm or wrist.
I
or
thought
whatnot.
so too. I was like, it's his wrist.
Yep.
I was like, how about this? He's going to miss 2 free throws here, possibly not even be able to shoot them. They're going to come down, hit a 3, and win in overtime on their home floor.
It's crazy, but that block reminded me of Tayshaun Prince's block. If anybody remembers that, when Detroit was making their run, when they had Rip Hamilton, Chauncey Billups, Ben Wallace, that team played together. You know what? He did it when it counted. Regardless, Kyrie hit a nasty 3-point shot with Steph Curry in his face. Kudos to him. Kudos to the entire Cleveland Cavaliers team for getting it done. You know what? They really deserve it. And like I said, the city of Cleveland cannot be more happy. One of the things, though, do you guys have anything else to say about that game? Because I got to get into the draft here in a second.
The only thing I'll say is that now Cleveland looks like the right decision was made by replacing David Blatt with Tyronn Lue. That's the only way that decision is pretty much, you could validate doing it, is because you won a championship. So.
I'll echo that sentiment. I wasn't on Tyronn Lue's side probably half of those playoffs. I thought he made awful coaching decisions, to be honest. In the championship game, he really did make some great coaching decisions, playing players where they shouldn't have been played or should have been played, calling timeouts in a timely manner, and getting people focused on getting the job done. So he got the best out of everybody, and especially games 5, 6, and 7.
Will we ever see a championship series where the narrative changes as much as it did in this one?
I mean, I can't think of one.
I mean, like Frank was saying, okay, sweep's going to happen. Just get it done. Okay, mercy killing in 5 games. Okay, they're going back to Cleveland. It's only fitting that LeBron, being the choke artist that he is, loses Game 6 on his home floor. He's 2-5 now in finals. Okay, Game 7, like Frank said, there's no way that they blow it at Oracle. This is a team that won 73 games.
Well, and every game except for Game 7, I think, was decided by more than 10 points. So, the first,
and that's why I think it changed so much. Is like, okay, this series, okay, maybe Cleveland's creeping back in. Okay,
yeah. Also, I'm the one that I actually picked before the series started the Cavaliers in 7. Then I changed it to 6 because I was like, "There's no way they're going to win in Golden State. Why am I picking them in 7?" So I got to pick them in 6. Then when it was 3-1, I'm like, "Wow, I don't know what I was thinking." So, whether or not Draymond should have been suspended, that's an issue. I think that he should have been suspended in the Oklahoma City series, and I think that the NBA had to do a makeup call, so they made the call. And I also thought that they probably thought, well, the worst case scenario is going to benefit us anyways. But up until this year, the NBA was really going through a hard time. Trying to build a better fan base, I think. And I think now, based on what, the finals brought, the playoffs have brought, and some of these things that have been going on as far as stars trying to create these super teams, but a lot more active in free agency, I think the NBA is becoming more popular again. Not to say it fell off the earth, but I'm thinking, Space Jam 2 is coming out and things like that. I think it is becoming more popular.
Yeah, I think, look, the happiest person in the world is Adam Silver that LeBron won an NBA championship because, he's good for ratings. Like Chad said, there's people that hate him, but they'll probably still watch to see LeBron lose a championship.
I just can't get over the fact that he looks like he should be in a Star Wars or Star Trek movie, man. That dude is creepy looking, Adam Silver. But on that, we're going to go ahead and take our first break. When we come back, we're going to hit the draft hard because we have a lot to cover today, including Ben Simmons going number 1 overall. And what in the world are my Boston Celtics doing?
Whole nother level. Saturdays, 1 to 3 Eastern. They should have been a number 1 seed. I'm sorry.
I think so
Michigan
too.
State should have been. Oh, really?
Now
you want to come on board
No.
with the Big Ten.
They got a good draw.
Talking about getting a good
Well,
seed.
no, I'm talking about Big Ten football. I was talking about Big Ten football. So, I want to be specific here. Listen.
And welcome back to the whole nother level here on STLRmedia.com. Again, hit us up on the Fresco Fades hotline, 941-358-5701, as we digest the NBA draft. So just in case you guys forgot, since it's been a couple of days, I'm just going to go through the lottery picks here. Number 1, Ben Simmons to the Philadelphia 76ers. Brandon Ingram to the Los Angeles Lakers at 2. Number 3, the Celtics, Jaylen Brown from Cal. The Suns took Dragan Bender. He looks like he's about 10 years old, but he's 18, I believe.
His name is Dragan?
Dragan Bender, yes. I'm not sure. I actually like that name. It's kind of a weird name, but if I had a name like Dragon, you have to fly. You have to soar, if you will. Chris Dunn going to the T-Wolves. We're going to talk about that. Buddy Hield falling 6th to the Pelicans. A great move by them to get him. Jamal Murray to the Denver Nuggets. The Kings took Marquise Chris and then immediately traded him to the Phoenix Suns.
That's what the Kings do.
Yep. Jacob Poeltl to the Toronto Raptors. Thon Maker, which people are already questioning this guy's age.
He graduated with me in 1995.
He definitely has a Greg Oden face. To the Milwaukee Bucks. You have, what is this one? DeMontis Sabonis to the Orlando Magic, which then they shipped out immediately to the Oklahoma City Thunder.
How many Magic fans traded in their fandom card on Thursday night after that deal?
It's nuts, and we're going to dig deep into that because I have some things to say about Orlando, and I have some things to say about that trade. We have, I'm not sure if I can pronounce this name, Tevrion Prince to the Utah Jazz. Georgios Papagiannis to the Phoenix Suns. And then there was some things here and there. The Bulls at 14 took Denzel Valentine. I think that was a great pickup, falling to 14, Michigan State shooting guard. Some other notables, you have Bryce Johnson from North Carolina going to the Clippers at 25. Skal Labrassiere, Kentucky star, ranked number 2 prospect overall a year ago, falling 28th to the Suns, then traded to the Kings. So again, the Kings have another big man. And then my Boston Celtics had 8 picks. I can only pronounce about one of their names. Obviously, Jaylen Brown going number 3. You have Gershon Yabusele from France. They said the guy might not even play for 3 or 4 years, which we'll get into that, going 16th. Ante Zizic from Croatia, going 23rd. Then we trade our 31st and 35th pick to the Memphis Grizzlies in exchange for a future number 1 from the Clippers, but it's lottery protected, so we'll see how that works out. And then we did get Demetrius Jackson, the point guard of Notre Dame, I like at 45. And then basically 2 Will Sees, which I'm not even going to pronounce their name, going a little bit later. The Spurs, again, 29th, they get a steal. DeJounte Murray, point guard 6'5" out of Washington, fell. Everybody projected him to be a top 15 pick. Spurs continually get picks down there. Obviously, they're pretty much filtering out the Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili era, bringing in new people. So he might even start this year. You never know. Isaiah Cousins falling to 59th to the Utah Jazz, the Oklahoma guard. So those are some of the ones that stood out to me. We'll start getting into it. Frank, your thoughts just straight up off the top. Ben Simmons going 1, Ingram 2, Jaylen Brown 3, Dragon Bender 4. What do you have? What do you have for us?
Oh, man. Look, Ben Simmons, I mean, they were doing the numbers, the analytics, and said he's got as much potential to be a bust as he does to be a star. I mean, and that's kind of like, wow. But here's what he has. Nobody questions his passing ability. I mean, at 6'10", and he's about 240, I mean, he has an NBA body. I mean, he's a grown man. He could actually probably play the point. I mean, I know he won't.
He might need to on that roster.
Well, yeah, actually in Philly.
The way it's fielded right now.
But I think that he could. I mean, what hurt Ben Simmons is that they started throwing out the LeBron word like when he was getting in college. And it's like, okay, look, you don't want to make that comparison. That's a once in a, that's like saying that, the next Peyton Manning or the next, you don't do it if the guy is just pretty good.
You can't make that comparison when the guy underachieves at LSU.
Yeah.
True as well.
I mean, he had another heralded prospect in Antonio Blakeney that came in with him, a local kid who played here for a couple years at Cardinal Mooney High School. So, I mean, things were set up at LSU, and they talk about Simmons actually regressed his year there at Baton Rouge.
He averaged 19, 11, and 4, which, I mean, is not, it's not bad.
But the SEC as a basketball conference is not what it is as a football conference.
No, they should have made the tournament.
There's no reason why they shouldn't have made the tournament. And that's what the argument is right now. For whatever reason, Ben Simmons is not a great shooter. He's good around the basket.
Yep.
He can shot block. He's a decent defender. The problem is where I don't know if I see a fit in Philadelphia. I think they were better off maybe trading back and getting a Chris Dunn. Who is there? They have no backcourt. No, that's all they have. Or here's what they have. They have a Joel Embiid, which you don't even know if the guy can play yet because he's been injured.
They have a poor culture is what they have. This is what happens when you tank it on purpose for years to get to this point. You don't have a roster and you don't have a player that you can build around. Now Ben Simmons is supposed to be this guy?
Yeah, and that's what Joel Okafor was supposed to be. So now they have Joel Okafor. They have Joel Embiid. They have Nerlens Noel still on the roster. You have Ben Simmons. I mean, when are they going to look at the roster and say, hey, we're just fielding every big man possible right now, and there's no basically avenue that we're leading towards. They have to get guards on the team, and that's why I think they had they would have made a better decision if they would have traded with the Boston, if they would have traded with a Phoenix Sun, a T-Wolves, somewhere else, and picking up a Chris Dunn at 3 or 4 to run their team. Because in my opinion, Chris Dunn looks like the next upcoming of Russell Westbrook. The guy is a speedy guard. He can finish at the rim, and he plays great defense.
Yeah, look, Philadelphia's draft strategy has been basically draft tall guys. I mean, that's all they did. But now with Brian Colangelo, this is his first year, his first draft. So I'm not going to hold the Okafor, the Embiid. He's basically, this is what he has. This is the roster that he was dealt. And so he's made Ben Simmons his, the cornerstone, if you will, at least for right now. People were giving Ben Simmons a lot of grief. Who was the coach at LSU? Was it John Jones? Was that his name? I mean, how did he not? I mean, look, I got to give him some blame too. I don't know if this is true or not, but some people have said, and again, making excuses for Ben Simmons, was he just mad that he had to play a year of college? I mean, I don't know, and hopefully that wasn't the case, but it's the fact that you did not make the NCAA tournament in the SEC and you are arguably that good. I mean, look, he's not LeBron-esque, but I heard Jalen Rose compared him to Grant Hill.
Well, what's disheartening there, too, is they turned down the bid to go to the NIT. Granted, if he didn't make the NCAA tournament, good. Then they turned down the bid to go to the NIT. If he would have dominated the entire NIT tournament, they won. Okay, yeah, it wasn't what they should have done.
He doesn't gain anything from
there.
that, though. He actually hurts his stock by playing in that tournament because there's more film out there. There's more scouts that can evaluate
If he would have dominated it, I'm saying, though, then I think that he would have. I mean, it doesn't matter because he ended up going number 1 anyways. He's going to have to prove that he belongs here at the next level, which I think being in that position, granted they didn't trade it, they had to have picked him. Because I don't see Brandon Ingram being a better prospect. I don't. It's me personally. Some people do.
Brandon Ingram is a better scorer and a better shooter per se.
Right now.
But, yes, right now. Look,
and wait till Brandon Ingram puts on about 20, 25 more pounds too, but that could be 2 or 3 years away.
Yeah.
Here's what Ben Simmons does do that I think he'll be successful. When I say successful, I'm not, let's not get crazy. He's not going to be a league MVP or anything. He's a great passer of the basketball. His court vision is almost unquestionable. If he has the ball in the paint, he's virtually, you can't stop him. His moves to the basket are basically unguardable. So he's got those things going. He plays defense. He's not from what I can understand, he's not a knucklehead. The Philadelphia coach actually coached his dad in Australia, so he's known Ben Simmons from, since he was little Ben Simmons.
And like you alluded to, Frank, it's the first-year head coach. Here's the deal, too. They actually tried to make a deal and grab the number 3 pick. They weren't getting away from him. They were picking Ben Simmons regardless. They almost got the number 3 pick because Boston almost traded him. They offered Nerlens Noel, Robert Covington, and actually 2 late first-round picks.
You pull the trigger on that deal all day.
And I also agree.
When you have no culture, a brand new general manager, and look how the previous general manager left with that psycho 13-page letter. I think if you're Brian Colangelo, you go, okay, we're going to get some players out of this, and we're going to get some building blocks for later on.
No, they didn't. They did not pull the trigger, and nobody really pulled the trigger up until, Orlando, and we'll get to that. So you have Brandon Ingram going to the Los Angeles Lakers. Good move, bad move there. Then you have the Celtics, taking Jaylen Brown. I'm so confused with that, so we'll get into that in a second. What do you think about Brandon Ingram and his fit in Los Angeles?
Well, look, I mean, he can score, so he's going to contribute right away. And, of course, and look, on that team, I mean, they don't have anybody, per se. I mean, look, not that they had anything much with Kobe last year anyhow, but he's going to be a building block. He can score. He can shoot the 3. I think Brandon Ingram – is going to be a good player in the league.
This is going to be a make-or-break draft, though, for the Lakers, because if Brandon Ingram turns out to be a bust, you're thinking you just drafted a bust at number 2 and Brandon Ingram. Not saying he's going to be, because I think he's going to end up being a good player. Yeah. You still kind of don't know what you have in D'Angelo Russell. There was some off-the-field things that went down with Nick Young last year. You got rid of Nick Young. They basically said, you go do your thing. We're keeping D'Angelo Russell behind him. Julius Randle hasn't really showed me too much as far as potential. No. So you've had a lot of picks up at the top, and so far I don't see too many of them panning out. You are moving on from Kobe Bryant. You have to get some veterans in there that know what they're doing to go along with this young nucleus, and you are getting a new coach.
But Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green,
they're not walking through that door.
Exactly. So, look, they're going to be a bad team regardless. But at least with Brandon Ingram, again, he can score. And to Chad's point, look, if he puts on some weight, I mean, he's already about 6'9", 6'10", and I think he's sitting around 195, 197 range. I mean, look, his upside is probably just as good as Ben Simmons in that regard. Your number 3 pick. Here's what
Jaylen Brown.
Here's what I'll say, and I take this for what it's worth. They said that Jaylen Brown was the only one that wore a tie to all of his interviews with the NBA teams. Now, I know that doesn't mean a whole lot per se.
Not in this day and age, even though I believe it does, but I'm old school.
If he plays like garbage, nobody's going to care. But what it does show is that it's a business. He has a mindset. He's not going to be a knucklehead. He is a decent character guy.
I think we're starting to see this with a lot of these kids. We saw it with the Apple kid from Ohio State and his mom saying, yeah, you're not wearing diamonds because you're an unemployed 20-year-old college dropout. And I think the message is finally getting through to these guys that, the money's not going to be there forever. The golden faucet's just not going to remain on. And they're starting to treat it like it's a business, and it's very limited window there, and let's take things seriously because my talent and a lot more is what's going to get me my job.
Yep. He was the only draft prospect that agreed to go up against anybody in workouts and anyone for any team. Some guys didn't even want to work out against anybody. They just wanted to come in and basically, look.
Go through drills and shoot the basketball?
Exactly. He was the only one that said, I'll play. I'll go up against your guys that are on your team now. I'll do whatever you want. So at least he's got competitiveness and some character. Now,
and I think that's where you learn a lot about these guys. And let's go back to that Orlando Magic 30 for 30 documentary where they talk about bringing Penny Hardaway in for that final workout. And they were like playing hard with him. And they're like, okay, this kid can hang. That type of guy who wants to come in and put that type of work in, that's who you want on your team.
Well, I will say that I loved what he said in some of the post game when he basically the next day when they had all the panel there, when after their draft picks, they had them all there. And there was a lot of them because Boston picked a lot of people. What he did say is he's going to come in, he's ready to work hard, and he's going to do whatever he can for the city. And then he said he's ready to rip some people's heads off. And I love it. I really do love it. And one thing that Danny Ainge said, he's like, I don't care what everybody – because all the Celtics fans were booing, including myself. I wasn't booing. I was just in awe because I was telling Frank the story, Chad, on break. It was funny because when I was watching it, I actually thought they took Jamal Murray because I was just thinking Jay for a second, just clocked in my head. Oh, Jamal Murray. Okay, well, he shot 79 out of 100 threes when he did the workout. You know what? Okay, we're probably going to end up trading maybe Marcus Smart or something. We'll see how this pans out. Not a bad pick. And I was like, wait a second, Jaylen Brown. I had to do a double take, and I'm like, Cal? Okay.
Is that JAL?
Yeah. But you know what? Danny Ainge said, this dude is ready to play now. He has a man's body. He doesn't have to develop his body. The body's ready to play. And he's coming into a great position to where Brad Stevens can coach him up. You know what? Brad Stevens does a good job.
Brad Stevens can coach anybody
exactly.
up.
Exactly. And it's something that we needed. A lot of teams were trying to get Jay Crowder. Boston didn't want to part ways with Jay Crowder.
Nope.
That's another thing. So we're going to see, free agency is starting July 1st. So we're really going to see what else. There's room on Boston roster for 2 max free agents. Yep. So Boston is far from over in the offseason. Yep. We're going to see what they can do. I do like their pick in the second round, Demetrius Jackson, the point guard of Notre Dame, but we have too many guards at the position right now. So I don't know if they're going to trade one, going to keep one. I do know Isaiah Thomas
Essentially,
is
you
staying.
guys drafted a summer league team later on.
Yes. Yeah. So and
a lot of teams do. Having 8 picks and what? There's 60 picks overall.
60 picks. We traded 2, so we have 6 players coming into camp. So yeah, there's going to be we're going to have a nasty D League team. Here's the thing, though, with the Celtics. They have a lot of things looking forward for the future. I guess the fan base was so excited about the potential of bringing in a Jimmy Butler, and then the latest was a Gordon Hayward. Some of these other players that they might – Paul George was up for grabs, supposedly. Some of these players that they might get for the number 3 pick. It didn't pan out. You know what? They said that they didn't even take calls on draft day because they were the calls leading up to draft day were almost laughable. I did think the one deal was okay. I might have pulled the trigger on that, but other than that, if they didn't get who they wanted to get, why not take a player in Jaylen Brown that they are really sold on?
Jaylen Brown, they said, was the most athletic out of all the draft prospects.
And he was a freshman.
Yeah, so he needs work. He's not the most polished player, but at least he's got freakish athletic ability, and you know that he's going to work. And on that team, Boston has a good culture. We talk about Philadelphia not having really any kind of culture. The players that are there right now, they're workers. You don't really have any knuckleheads on the Celtics right now.
This is a team that could push Cleveland for years to come.
We're going to see that. We still need a couple main guys in there, though. A pretty core nucleus right now at a very respectable price, believe it or not, because nobody has signed at a max contract. And it was just reported, I think last night, that Kevin Durant has agreed to meet with the Celtics, one of only 6 teams that he is meeting with. And I think it's very far off that he signs there. But as long as you get the dude in the room, you're saying there's a chance.
Well, as far as recruiting other guys, too, you can go, well, on Tuesday we're bringing in KD. So, you might want to just, consider what we have here and think about it.
And we're going to touch on the free agency a little bit later today because we have a lot. I have a list of a bunch of free agents that we're going to go through. Some of them unrestricted, some of them restricted, some of them player options. But there's actually a really good free agent class this year. But we can't leave without talking. We're still on the draft right now. Chris Dunn, a Providence product, falling to the Minnesota Timberwolves at number 5, just what they needed, in my opinion. You have Karl Anthony Towns. You have Zach LaVine. You have Andrew Wiggins over there. Now you have, I'm sorry to say, Ricky Rubio, you're done. Your time's gone.
Finally.
Yes, and you know who might benefit from this? If
Ricky Rubio.
Yeah. If I'm the 76ers, I'm calling them because I need a point guard. You have the bigs. Get someone that can pass the basketball, score it here and there. I think he's a perfect fit there. Other teams need a point guard as well, but I think his tender there is done now. They're going to end up trading him when free agency begins, and I think it'll be Chris Dunn's team right off rip.
Well, yeah, because, look, Ricky Rubio, you can tell, is not a Tom Thibodeau kind of guy. Ricky is too much flash and splash, and Thibodeau, play defense, do your job, and that's what they got with Chris Dunn. So, yeah, I think
I'm telling you, this Minnesota team is going to be – I'm calling that they make the playoffs next year, number 1. And I think that they're going to be, within the next 3-4 years, contenders. With the squad that they have.
How much more fun is the West than the East, though? Look, we talked about New Orleans during the break, too.
Yeah. No, I know. New Orleans, the Pelicans getting Buddy Hield, a phenomenal shooter at number 6, I believe. Great for them. Yeah. He's going to pair up with Anthony Davis.
And great for their next coach, right, Frank?
Look, I said it when they got rid of Monty Williams. He got them to the playoffs. They fired him, bringing Alvin Gentry. who has never won anywhere that he's been as a coach. So, I mean, look, him and Mike D'Antoni, they must just be the greatest salesmen ever when they get in that room.
The pride of Marshall, Mike D'Antoni.
He's good at offense.
Well, there's no D there.
Exactly.
Mike D'Antoni.
They're going to Gentry will be gone in a couple years, and whoever gets that will be a good job.
I think it's a great pick for them, and I also like, the Nuggets have no identity whatsoever right now. They draft Jamal Murray at 7, finally a player that they can look to kind of start rebuilding what they have over there. They have Kenneth Faried, they have a couple other players, but nobody really – when I say Denver Nuggets, does anybody speak out to you guys at all? Exactly, it's silent. So,
the last time I thought about the Nuggets was when they unjustly fired George Karl.
Yeah, and they haven't recouped from that, to be honest. They had a solid squad back then. And, they had Carmelo back then. They had a bunch of different people. So, obviously, it hasn't worked out for them. Maybe the Jamal Murray acquisition in the draft will, pay dividends there. So, let's just go ahead and get into it. I mean, Frank, you have something?
I was just going to say, our local NBA team, I say local, just a couple hours away.
Yes.
Orlando Magic making some
headlines.
Yes, that's the word for it.
So if anybody doesn't know out there, which you should since it's been a couple of days old, but we're going to talk about it anyways, Serge Ibaka traded to the Orlando Magic for Victor Oladipo, for Ersan Ilyasova, and Domantas Sabonis, Arvydas Sabonis' son, by the way, drafted in the first round at number 11. So are we in favor or not of this trade?
Wow, the Orlando Sentinel actually defended Rob Hannigan, but the whole fan base, you got to realize that there's a lot of people that have since defected to the Heat in this area, but there's some tried and true Magic fans that are out there. Myself, One High C here from Sky's Limit Radio. I don't know what they're doing because I don't know how much longer Ibaka is going to be in Orlando. Got rid of 3 players for the guy, and he could be gone next year.
When was Victor Oladipo drafted?
2 years ago?
Yeah.
2 years ago at what? He was a top 5 pick, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was 3, I think. I want to say
2 or 3, something like that. Victor Oladipo. So you're trading away a 2-year player that's averaging 16 points and 5 rebounds a game.
Well, and then guards are only shooting like 28% from 3-point range against him, which is like 6th best in the league right there.
Plays
so the
good,
guy can defend too.
Plays good defense on the perimeter.
He's a guy who went to college, so he's got some experience. He's not immature. He's not the typical 3rd or 4th year NBA player.
This trade to me is unbelievable in many ways.
Well, and they've already thrown in the towel with free agency too. They're not going to go after Al Horford. They're not. That they're not going to get KD or anybody else who's
no chance. Yeah, they might get like a Kent Bazemore and overpay him or something like
Orlando
that.
Orlando is not a destination right now, and I don't see Orlando being a destination unless moves are made.
Well, the problem with the trade is you have Aaron Gordon, which plays the exact same position and is actually on the up and coming. So
Aaron Gordon is your star. That's
what I'm saying.
Marketing right now.
So now what's going to happen is, are they going to start Serge over him? Or are they going to play them both together? I'm super confused with the trade. All I know is that Serge Ibaka last year averaged about 12 and 8, and you traded away Victor Oladipo at 16 and 5, Ersan Ilyasova at 10 and 5.
Well, they say his ability to protect the rim is what Orlando needs, but they gave up too much for that one asset.
But you also have Vucevic down there, which is a good, solid center. So, I mean, I'm sorry. You have Eldred Payton on the roster at a 2 or a 1 guard position. Who else do you even have? I mean, who is going to shoot the ball over there?
Card-carrying Orlando Magic fans turning in that card on Thursday night. I mean, and I've never seen anything like it because teams usually make dumb, the only thing I can compare it to is if this somehow works out the way the Chris Webber, Penny Hardaway trade, but I just don't see it. This might be the dumbest move in Orlando Magic history.
I mean, I know Ibaka is only 26 years old, which I thought he was a little older. He's 26, granted. But also, his contract's done at the end of the season.
Exactly.
He might go right back to Oklahoma City
say the only reason
or somewhere else.
He might not go back to Oklahoma City, and the reason why the move might have happened is the falling out with KD and Westbrook.
Okay, and if that's the case, I mean, first off, I'm very hard-pressed to know that, KD definitely had his foot in there. There's no way they get rid of him if they want to re-sign KD,
exactly.
And KD was that close to him. So anybody that says, like, oh, there was an issue going on and KD didn't want him gone, no. KD knew he was going to be gone, and he was okay with it because there'd be no way he's going to re-sign there with them getting rid of him.
But how does Orlando get a guy and then say, okay, we have to do everything to essentially re-recruit this guy to make him sign with us?
The problem is you trade away the 11th overall pick too. Sabonis is supposed to be pretty good. And from what I remember, his dad was pretty damn good.
He is a physical player. Sabonis. They said he was physical, athletic. He can block shots.
He can pass it good for a big, too.
Exactly. He's 6'11". Again, the body, you pair him up with Steven Adams. They still have Enes Kanter. I mean, look, I don't even want to try and butcher his name, but
Ilyasova.
Yeah, exactly. He can shoot. I mean, look, he's got a decent 3-point shot.
He's a role player. He averages 10 points a game, though. That's more than a lot of role players in the league.
Sam Presti he just fleeced basically Orlando. Here's what I'll say, and I can't defend the move. If Serge Ibaka is like the third best player on your team, okay, I'm okay with that, in that role. But if you're looking to make him your whatever it is that they're looking for him to be, he's not. To me, he's not that guy.
For Oklahoma City, awesome trade. What hurt you in the playoffs is you didn't have that Reggie Jackson that you got rid of the year prior to get scoring that they needed, especially off the bench. Now you get a Reggie Jackson on steroids that's younger than Reggie Jackson, that can shoot the ball, that can defend better than Reggie Jackson can. That and Oladipo. You also have it with. I think they guaranteed Ilyasova's contract for 2 years. So you have another guy that can come off the bench and score. And then you have a young guy, which is, like you just said, is projected to be pretty good. And you still have Steven Adams. You still have Enes Kanter. So you didn't really lose anything at the rim because both of them are on the upside. So now they have to sign Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I mean, look, and I think also, too, for Oklahoma City, if they're preparing, if they think that KD might leave or Westbrook, I mean, you're bringing in, again, those aren't replacements for those guys, but you're stocking up that roster. I mean, Oklahoma City, at least you can say they have depth.
You have three guys. You say, okay, if we don't re-sign KD, we've got these pieces to work with. And, Billy, you need to adjust your strategy because you were used to coaching two superstars here, and it's pretty nice. But, yeah, we don't have that one superstar anymore, and we might not have the other one after next year.
And if they do lose, Kevin Durant, they still have Westbrook for at least a year. Yep. Now you get an Oladipo, which he can score. Yep. You still have Deion Waiters that can score. You still have the bigs down low. And now you have cap space to go sign whoever it might be in free agency. Yeah, they might not be a huge draw because Durant's not there anymore. But, if I'm somebody that Oklahoma City is going to pay me a max contract, I still have Westbrook, Steven Adams, Oladipo on the roster. It's definitely a decent destination.
Look, I mean, Steven Adams and Sabonis there in that backcourt, or I'm sorry, the
and
front
Kanter.
court. I mean, that's Oklahoma City. They have a real GM. I guess would be the best compliment I could give them.
Yeah. And for a team that is a small market type of team, I kind of look at them as Steve Madden for the Devil Rays, the Tampa Bay Rays back in the day. When he was here, he got the most out of players and then brought them up through the system. It's kind of what they did to build the Durant, to build the Russell Westbrook. They had to do it through the draft because nobody was going to go there.
I didn't know the guy who designed women's shoes managed the Rays, but that's you said Steve Madden there, actually.
My fault. Yeah. A little tongue twisted over here. But I do have a pair of Steve Maddens.
when you talk about Oklahoma City as an organization, the move that shocked me was when Billy Donovan left the University of Florida. And I'm thinking, if you win the way that Billy Donovan has done at the University of Florida, there's statues at other universities. If he did that in Bloomington, Indiana, if he did that in Lexington, Kentucky, he is a god. But at the University of Florida with the athletic program like that, okay, yeah, you can just kind of go along because you're not football and it is what it is. We know this is a football state. But why would Billy Donovan take a comfortable job like that to go to the NBA where there's not great job security? And I think this trade showed that he works for a great organization and a GM that's willing to get him the pieces.
Yeah, and if you're Kevin Durant, you're loving it right now because if I look at the roster with myself on it being Kevin Durant, I think it's stronger than what it was when I left this, when we ended the season. And free agency hasn't even started yet. So they can offer him the most money by a long shot. If I was him, I would probably sign the 2-year deal, second year being a player option, see if we can get it done again.
I don't think there's any agent that's going to sign any deal like that. I think what you do is you sign the max that you can sign with opt-outs as soon as you can, but you have to CYA just in case something were to happen. You have an Amari Stoudemire microfracture or something like that. I don't see an agent saying, take my advice, and this advice is sign a 2-year deal. No.
Yeah, but I think Durant might have more say in it because he might want to see because Westbrook's contract's up at the end of the next season. If they sign him a 2-year max deal with a player option after 1 year, then he can decide whether he wants to stay in Oklahoma City with a Russell Westbrook for max money or leave because Russell Westbrook decides he wants to go somewhere else after his contract's over. Plus, they might want to get together and see if they can actually finish the thing because this is the season that I could honestly say they found out how to play together finally. there's been a lot of issues with them sharing the ball up until this year where, yeah, they both picked their poison, but at the same time, I thought they worked a lot better together. So that might be something to look forward to. I hope it doesn't.
I think that's a great point. Ever since Harden was traded, this year was the first year that you saw them kind of gel together. Now, the unfortunate thing is they were playing 2-on-5 a lot of times in the later games of that Golden State series, and that's what hurt their team.
And that's when coaching comes in, though. That's when you have to, basically adjust to whatever situation that you might be in, bringing the bigs in. They kind of did that a little bit not down the stretch because they went back to one-on-one ball, but in the middle of the series, you saw the Aeneas Canners, the Steven Adams really, really participating and getting their looks as well. So
in the middle of that series, you thought Billy Donovan is going to be a great NBA head coach. This guy is probably going to win 5 or 6 rings. He's going to be at Oklahoma City for 20 years, and then all of a sudden it's like, they lost after being up 3-1.
Look,
what happened
with that? Yeah, and it goes to the coaching staff. It also goes to the players because in the end, coaches coach, players play. You got to finish that series. Another trade that went through that we can go ahead and start talking about. Derrick Rose to the New York Knicks, also with Justin Holiday in a second rounder, and then the Knicks ship out Robin Lopez, Jose Calderon, and then Jerarian Grant. So, what do you think about this trade?
The Knicks traded for Derrick Rose, but they're not getting Derrick Rose. That's the best thing I can say. Look, is he an upgrade over what they have? Yeah. Is he going to be what he was before that injury? I don't think.
He's 27. Doesn't it seem like that guy's like 35, 38 years old? Those knees are for sure.
He's just so injury prone. But the New York Knicks had the worst backcourt in the league last year, I believe. Especially with Jose Calderon. Once in a while he can do something, but his best years are behind him. Let's be honest.
Now that they have Rose, though, Melo's opted out. Does Melo stay or is
Melo stays now? And the good thing is they drafted Porzingis last year, which really, really showed that he can play. Especially after getting everybody basically just booing him, the entire New York audience over there. And I think that Porzingis showed that he can play. You have Derrick Rose now, and you have Carmelo Anthony. The problem is they're looking to bring another scorer in, and I don't think that should be the issue. I think that there's only one ball to go around, and those 3 players have showed that they can score. Now they need veteran help to come in. They need people that are going to set screens. They need people that are going to be role players on that team and kind of form a gel-type team. And you also have to do away with the triangle offense because, let's be honest, both Carmelo and Derrick Rose are ball stoppers. They don't move the ball when they get it. They both want to score. So I don't know how all that's going to work.
I'm assuming that by hiring Jeff Hornacek that they're going away from the triangle unless, that was one of the stipulations when they brought him in was, hey, keep Kurt Rambis on and keep running the triangle.
The triangle's dead. It doesn't work in this day and age league. This day and age, the Golden States are showing the prototype. You have to run gun, you have to be able to shoot, you have to have big men that can stretch, come out and shoot. It can't be all based around one player.
Yeah, and I think that they're going to run Hornacek's offense because that was one of the things that Carmelo said was that he was excited about a wide open. Look, Hornacek got fired in Phoenix, but his first year there, I think, was first or second. He won 49 games with that team and that roster. So he can coach a little bit at least.
He might not handle the X's and O's, but we know who the real coach in New York City is, though.
Spike Lee?
Yeah. He's got the seat.
But, man, you know what? It's good for New York fans to be excited, but at the same time, I'm not too sure. If Derrick Rose can come in and do what he did before his injury, kind of get all the the injury bugs, the monkey off his back, so to speak. But then again, Chicago had to move away from him. I think that's something they had to do. I know they cleared some cap space. I don't even know if Jose Calderon makes the roster over there. They might just move him. With Robin Lopez over there now, I expect them to move on from Powell. I don't think Pau Gasol signs there because I think he is a player option free agent.
What is Chicago doing just from the standpoint of Jimmy Butler? I hear Jimmy Butler's name like every week that they're trying to get rid of him and they're trying to trade him. And it's like, who else do you have? To me, he's your best player.
If I'm Jimmy Butler, I'm pissed, by the way, because I'm like, why is my name in the news this much if you guys aren't serious about trading me? You know what I'm saying? If they're like, oh, those are all rumors, like how can those rumors get leaked if you guys are coming out and saying like, hey, you're building around me. I'm the franchise right now.
Give me Jimmy Butler on my team all day long.
Absolutely. But, yeah, I don't know. He has to be livid right now of the things that are going on.
Unless they've told him. Unless they've talked to him privately.
Sat down internally.
I totally agree with that because your thing is with that is you say, make a statement. Make a definitive statement where you tell the media that I'm part of your plans here for the next 4 or 5 years.
I mean, that's what Celtics did for 3-4 years with Rajon Rondo.
Well, and you can't.
He was always in the trading, and then it kind of starts messing with your psyche after a while.
And same thing with the Boston media. You couldn't do it with the Chicago. You can't BS them.
Yo,
if
they
you
know.
tell them something,
Yeah.
you better follow through with it.
Exactly.
So the Bulls are probably in a position where they're just waiting for the right offer to come along for Jimmy Butler, because as they said Thursday night, the reports were saying that, they just kind of laughed everything off as, people were calling saying, how about we try this? No.
There's going to be still players moved from teams that they think are currently going to be on their roster when the season starts.
A lot of sign of trades are going to start happening July 1st, too.
Absolutely. There's a lot of free agents that we're going to get to after our next break, which we're about ready to take. And then, like I said, the free agent list is phenomenal. July 1st starts free agency, basically. And I think that Chicago is going to have their hand in it. They're going to need to, whether it be, keeping Jimmy Butler or trading him, because it's been, too long now where it's basically kept him and others in a limbo. You're listening to Whole Nother Level, Sky's the Limit Radio.
Welcome back to A Whole Nother Level. These guys drop more points than Steph Curry.
We drop a whole lot more points than Steph Curry did in Game 7, I'll tell you that. Welcome back. So when we just left, we were talking about NBA free agency. And just to recap real quick on the NFL, or NBA draft, I should say. Is there anything worse right now in sports than the NBA draft? I mean, this thing is almost unwatchable. First off, you have so many international players where most people don't even know their names. They can't pronounce their names. And then they have the draft and stash where some of these players you'll never even see. I mean, they will never make it over here to play a single minute in the NBA. Other ones come 2, 3, 4, 5 years later. So you're sitting here. With Twitter now, everybody's leaking the pics, so you can't even get on a social media website.
That's why people should have watched The Vertical on Yahoo and watched that coverage, because Wojnarowski just tips off every pick.
Ridiculous, I know, right? And they're like, oops, it's so insecure. We got these other leaks coming out from all these other people. I'm like, dude, you're the one that's tweeting it every single time, though. And then some of the other things that I just can't stand, or maybe it's just me. First off, what do you guys think? Because, I think that we could almost knock it down to one round right now. Knock it down to one round of actual players from colleges then, and then have a separate draft for international players if that's the way we're going to go. Because, like I said, they draft and stash all these players, or just have 2 rounds.
Why don't we have more of a primer? We had the NBA Finals, and 3 or 4 days later, we have the draft. Think about it with the NFL. We have the start of free agency, and then we have 3 months to build up for the draft. Now, with 2 rounds, you don't need 3 months of lead time, that type of thing. But I think you need more than 4 days. What kind of league has a draft before it has free agency?
Yeah, no, you're completely right on that. I hadn't even thought about that, but I do realize that there was basically no turnaround, whatsoever from the last game of the NBA Finals until the draft. Another thing that I just can't stand, when are we going to start doing away with these same-day trades to where nobody can even keep track of what's going on? I mean, you're sending 3, 4 players, picks. I lost complete track of who's going where. You having kids that are just drafted up there in an Orlando Magic hat, but they're not even going to Orlando. They've already gotten traded, and they're talking about how good it's going to be to play for that city. Like, wait, you don't even know yourself that you just got traded.
You love that picture of Scottie Pippen with the Seattle Supersonics hat on. This has been going on for decades.
But there has to be a better way, is what I'm saying. I mean, especially in this new day and age, we have to do something about it.
One of the things I read this week is, why don't you make it to where these kids can get drafted by as many as 3 teams?
And then choose. So they're going to all sit down.
You have a rookie pool that is separate from your regular salary cap. So that way, no team can hoard all the rookies, and you can't make a rookie super team. But it would be one of those things where Simmons would be drafted by 3 teams.
And then he has 3 different hats sitting there, and he puts one on, huh? So it's, it's like National Signing Day.
And you got to realize that not every team can spend as much money, so you're going to see an even distribution amongst those rookies, and that might lead to more parity. And I don't know if we have parity to an extent in that league. We don't have the 8-8 NFL parity. We have the 73 wins, and we have the 18-win team.
Well, the 18-win team keeps tanking, and that's an issue as well. But like I said,
well, and the lottery was supposed to figure that out 25, 26 years ago.
That didn't
30
happen.
years ago, actually, and it hasn't happened. And actually, that thing might be fixed after all. You know?
I mean, who knows what's going on with that? I just think there has to be a better way than what I've seen on TV with, players getting drafted that are already traded, but then have to go basically talk about both teams. Because first they start talking about, like the one kid, Sabonis started talking about Orlando, then he gets traded, then he has to talk about Oklahoma City. He's like, oh, wait, do I say the exact same thing? I mean, what am I doing up here?
Well, does it need to be a TV show? Can the kids meet with the media the day afterwards, like you talked about what happens in Boston or anywhere else, where you face your beat writers, the guys that you're going to deal with for the preseason, the 82 games, possibly the playoffs? Why does there need to be a microphone in front of every kid giving you the same general comment? Looking forward to having this opportunity. I really liked things when I went down there to visit. Seems like they got a good system in place. Looking forward to playing in insert name of city here.
No, I mean, yeah, that's a good point. What I think they need to do is almost adopt what the NFL has going on as far as the draft, though, because when the NFL drafts, you trade with that actual team, and then it says, okay, the Kings are on the clock now. So then they go up and draft their guy. They don't draft a guy and then immediately trade him out. I mean, it just makes no sense. Nobody knows what's going on. Like I said, you drafted 3 or 4 international players in a row. Nobody knows who the hell they are.
Well, and these networks and papers and websites and papers covering things, they don't explain to the general fan how these things work. And that's why it comes off as odd. Why does a team have to select somebody and then trade them like 5 seconds later? You know that's some procedural rule that's in there with the salary cap and everything like that. But the people who cover this stuff, we see it all the time with the NFL and free agency and with the draft. We're not explaining the little intricacies that come with the salary cap and the different procedural rules that happen in drafts. And if you're doing your overall job, you should be covering that stuff because that's how a team is built.
I agree. I just had a little beef that I had to get off my mind.
It's a bad TV show. You're not the only one who thinks that.
I mean,
and it's kind of like they're almost required to do it. And you didn't have your boy Bill Simmons there pumping his fist this year.
There you
Did you see the HBO show, by the way?
Oh, I saw it, yeah.
And your boy Affleck.
My Affleck was getting it. I think he dropped about 18 F-bombs on that, talking about Deflategate, which I've done on this show before and really had to hold my tongue.
Except with the 18 F-bombs, I hope. Right?
No, I did not on this show, but everybody that knows me off the show knows I'm more than capable of throwing out about 18 in a solid 20-minute period.
But you'll still watch the draft, though, just to see.
Oh, I still watch it, and of course, Celtics had so many picks that I was intrigued and hoping that they, made a splash or whatever. But like I said, free agency starts on July 1st. We're going to see what teams are made of, what they can do, what they can go out and get, and who they can entice to come there. Yep. One of the trades that we hadn't talked about at all is Jeff Teague actually getting traded from Atlanta to the Pacers. I think the Pacers also acquired Thaddeus Young in a trade, I believe. Yep. So the Pacers are making quietly pretty good moves over there.
And Jeff Teague has that tattoo on his forearm of the Indianapolis skyline because that's where he's from. So.
Oh, okay. So he's going back home then.
Yep.
And they get rid of George Hill. Look, I take who is Teague is an upgrade in my opinion. And who gave up the first round pick for George Hill? Where did he get shipped to? Didn't somebody, I want to say, gave up a first round pick for that in some of that trade?
I think so. I don't have it in front of me, but I do know what you're talking about. I just think that it's a good trade for the Indiana Pacers, and I kind of scratched my head of what Atlanta's doing right now. I know you like Dennis Schroeder. You think he's going to be the one moving forward, but when I look at their roster, they have nobody behind him. So if he goes down with an injury, I mean, there's no depth whatsoever on that roster. They're still trying to entice Al Horford to stay there, and there's a lot of signs pointing him to leaving, Atlanta. So they're kind of like, Kyle Korver is just doing his thing. He's good for shooting threes, a couple, a little bit of defensive presence on the perimeter. But I think they're kind of clueless right now, to be honest.
Yeah, they're in the process of getting ready to hit the reset button.
That's what it looks like.
I mean, you got to understand that you see these teams that have challenged whatever team LeBron has been on the last 6 years out of the East, and has that window closed on the teams like the Chicagos, the Indianapolises of the world.
Well, look at Atlanta. The last 2 years, they faced Cleveland in the playoffs, and they got swept in both.
Swept both times.
They haven't gotten any better in 2 years, basically. And if that roster comes back next year, they're probably even worse, not having Teague.
It's a definition of insanity.
Yeah, and I think Paul Millsap might be on the trading block as well, I've heard. So, I mean, I don't know what they're doing over there.
Actually, that would be Paul Millsap would be a nice piece to have. I mean, not obviously, your main number one guy, but I'd take him.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of the other free agency or notable free agents that we have. So obviously Kevin Durant's a free agent. He's already come out and said he's meeting with 6 teams. One of them being the Boston Celtics. I'm crossing my fingers, toes, and everything else I can cross that he comes there. It's pretty far-fetched, but we'll see what happens.
Any confirmation on the other 5?
Yes, Golden State Warriors.
Okay.
Which, if he goes there, you might as well just end season. Where's the end season button? Also, San Antonio, if he goes there, end season button. I mean, because you're pairing him with LaMarcus Aldridge and Kawhi Leonard.
Right.
I mean,
you're pairing him up with Pop. And
yeah.
Can you imagine Pop coaching that guy up?
Exactly. So, I mean, he is going to places that he can really go to and basically has a chance to win a championship, obviously. So I know I think the Clippers are one of the teams as well. That's interesting. Doc Rivers, Blake Griffin, Chris Paul. Ooh. So if they got him, they would be contender immediately to win it. So those are the ones that I know for sure. And I think there's one other team. And it's not the Wizards too. I don't believe so. And I know that was a lot of talk, prior to saying that he might go home to Washington.
I've heard Frank say this, and I don't think Kevin Durant wants to be close to home or what people consider to be home because he went to the University of Texas for a year. It seems like he's trying to get as far away from the Baltimore, D.C. area as possible. I mean, people are saying that if he signed with Under Armour, that would have been a big thing as far as, okay, well, Under Armour Under Armour's tearing up the game as far as with these endorsements right now.
Oh, yeah. They got Cam Newton, Tom Brady, and Steph Curry.
Jordan Spieth, too.
Okay, yeah.
So if they would have had somebody there in their backyard, well, the Zimmerman kid, too, for the Nationals. So if they'd have had, Harper, if they would have had him right there in their backyard there being based out of Maryland, that would have been huge. But since that didn't happen, I threw the Wizards. Even when Scotty Brooks signed that deal with the Wizards, I said KD's not coming.
Yeah. And so some of the notable free agents, I'll just run through the quick list that I put together really fast. And obviously LeBron James is going to stay in Cleveland. He's already come out and said it. And maybe some unforgived circumstances that he leaves. I don't see it. But anyways, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Andre Drummond, Hassan Whiteside, DeMar DeRozan, Mike Conley Jr. You have Al Horford, Dwight Howard, Bradley Beal, Dwayne Wade, Harrison Barnes, Paul Gasol, Chandler Parsons, Dirk Nowitzki, Rajon Rondo, Nicholas Batum, Al Jefferson, Tim Duncan, Ryan Anderson, Luol Deng, Joakim Noah. Those are pretty much the ones. And you have a couple other ones, J.R. Smith, Jamal Crawford, the kind of the mid-tier there. But there's a lot of free agents, whether it be restricted, unrestricted, or opt out possibly with that player option. So, I mean, do you see any of these that just kind of stick out to you guys? Good fits for a team that almost made it, or maybe a team that is basically in the dumpster that needs to sign a couple of them to be at least make the playoffs.
Where does Noah want to go?
I've heard there's rumors maybe Chicago right now, which is kind of, I guess he would re-up with Derrick Rose and they'd have Melo and Porzingis over there. That's kind of weird.
New York?
New York Knicks.
He would be going back home. So he's a New York City kid. That would be one guy. I don't care what you have on your roster. That kid's shown it since he was at the University of Florida. He's a competitor, and he's got heart, and he's a guy that you want going to battle with you every day.
No, absolutely. And I know he's battled some injuries in the last couple of seasons, but he is one of those ones that has a high motor, and he's just every time he's on the floor, he's going to show it in whatever he's doing, whether it be offense, defense, whatever.
What about Whiteside? He's going to make himself some money here coming up.
See, I think that he's going to be one of the most highly touted free agents. I already heard some rumors about Mark Cuban making a huge run for him, trying to get him in Dallas. He missed out on what's his name last year that re-signed with the Clippers.
DeAndre Jordan.
DeAndre Jordan,
yep.
Yeah. So obviously Mark Cuban's going to go after Durant. Durant's not going to go there. He already basically said that.
Wait, when you call somebody an idiot,
and then he wants
you're not
going to
go play for him. I mean, this isn't LeBron and Dan Gilbert where there was a relationship before and then something bad happened. And
the funny thing is too is after he said that, then he picks them to win it all. He's like, oh yeah, I think Durant and Westbrook. They have after he said Westbrook's not a superstar, and and then Durant had called him an idiot. So, anyways, that's not going to happen.
How much attention is Mark Cuban paying to his organization right now? There's a lot of tweets out there about a certain presidential candidate not having the type of Mark Cuban money to run for president, but I haven't seen anything as far as him addressing two guys opting out as far as Dirk Nowitzki and Chandler Parsons.
Yeah, and I think Parsons is completely gone.
I think Parsons is gone.
It wasn't a fit there. He didn't really get he wasn't even really involved. It was almost like he just did a disappearing act for a year. He really regressed in that offense. Dirk, I just think Dirk is probably just doing this so he can restructure and stay because he's been with there his entire career.
Like he said he'll stay there as long as they don't try to blow it up and start 4 or 5 rookies.
Exactly. And Tim Duncan's a free agent. There's no way he leaves the Spurs. So he's either going to sign for minimum, whatever he can do.
And we don't want to see these guys go somewhere else. This is like, if Tim Duncan went somewhere else, it'd be like Hakeem Olajuwon ending things in Toronto.
Yeah, it wouldn't look right. But like I said, there's a lot of good free agents out there right now. Some of the ones that I'm kind of curious about, DeMar DeRozan, there's been some rumors that he might end up in Los Angeles. Mike Conley Jr., I could see him in Dallas. Who else needs a point guard? I mean, tons and tons of teams need a point guard, and I think he's definitely an above average one. D Wade. Does D Wade stay in Miami, or does he say, you know what? Does LeBron actually get him to come over and try to win another title over there in Cleveland now? That might be interesting.
You don't need D Wade when you have Kyrie.
You don't, but I mean, if LeBron and D Wade are best friends.
The one thing that I learned from that Lakers team that signed Gary Payton and got
Karl Malone,
you can't have an embarrassment of riches. It's not going to work out.
There's only one ball to go around, and you have egos involved too. So yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. It doesn't work out a lot of times on that. Well, we do have a little bit more to get to here. We haven't touched on any NFL yet. It's been all NBA today, and we are doing our 8 divisions, or actually more than that. No, 8 divisions. 8 divisions in 8 weeks. So we do have the NFC West that we're touching on today. As you know, we have the Arizona Cardinals, the San Francisco 49ers, the Seattle Seahawks, and the newly acquired Jared Goff and moved to the Los Angeles region, Rams. Frank, last year, 2015 stats. Cardinals 13-3, Seattle Seahawks 10-6, Rams 7-9, and then the 49ers at cellar dwellers at 5-11. Based on what you've seen in the offseason so far in the NFL draft, where do you see these teams stacking up, and what do you see moving forward?
Last year I had all 3 of my playoff teams coming out of this division, and the Rams failed me. Losing just some boneheaded games, but I know it was a little bit of a reach. Look, if I'm in that division, I'll go with the Cardinals again because, look, to me, they got better. They addressed something that they needed, getting Chandler Jones. They couldn't rush the passer in the Carolina game and get to Cam Newton, so at least he helps there in that capacity.
Chandler Jones, huge acquisition. They drafted Robert Kimdichie in the first round, another person that has showed that he can get to the quarterback in college. Last year, just alone, they were actually second in the league in points per game, first in the league in passing yards, the Arizona Cardinals. Actually, second in the league in total yards per game, second in the league in passing yards. So Carson Palmer got it done until
I still don't trust him in those kind of games, so that's a question mark. But I think that the Cardinals will make the playoffs, and actually, I think the Seahawks do as well. I think the Rams come in third again, and the 49ers.
Well, let's talk about the Rams for a second. Okay, so now you know that they moved to the Los Angeles region, leaving St. Louis in the rearview mirror.
Yep.
They pretty much had to go Jared Goff since he's a Cal guy. You have the whole fan base around you now. They said that they pretty much sold out season tickets or they're damn close to it. What do you think that the Rams are going to do this year? Awesome Todd Gurley in the backfield.
Yep.
Moving forward, he's the number 1 running back, in my opinion, with, obviously Adrian Peterson is up there, but he's getting up there in age as well. So I think right now, as I look at all the running backs in the league, Jamal Charles has been injury prone. He's up there. You can still put him up there. Le'Veon Bell had some issues with injury. I mean, I think Todd Gurley is probably the number 1, number 2, or even maybe number 3 running back in the NFL as it stands right now. You have him coming in to kind of ease the load of a new quarterback because Jared Goff's going to start. You don't have any other option there right now.
Well, no, look, and the Rams, I mean, they're built the best to have a rookie quarterback. Their offensive line's decent. They have a good running game, and they have a defense. I mean, they have, he's going to have Tavon Austin. I mean, look.
West Virginia.
Exactly. I mean, look, Goff is going to have.
What happened to Stedman Bailey over there, though?
Hey, he's going to make a recovery, okay?
Okay.
And he wouldn't be the first West Virginia washout.
Actually.
Little bit of a partying problem that goes on at Morgantown that may carry through to the league has been known to happen.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was some oof.
But no, I think you're exactly right. As far as a team where you have an offensive line where you can hand the ball to the running back 22 to 30 times a game, that's the now again Los Angeles Rams. I think in this division, Seattle. And Seattle's actually under the radar right now. As hard, you might find that statement hard to believe, but I think a lot of people think that Seattle's best days are behind them, and I don't think that's the case. I think Russell Wilson's going to cut down on the mistakes this year. I don't trust Carson Palmer. I don't trust him to stand upright and be able to do that for 16 straight games. And as far as San Francisco,
Chip Kelly coming in. And Carlos Hyde already came out and said that he's buying into the Chip Kelly system.
Let's ask Eric Wilson if Chip Kelly's a good thing for your organization.
Well, let's also ask Eric Wilson if the Philadelphia Eagles made it to the playoffs 2 straight seasons before imploding the last season. I know they went 10-6, and Eric was all about that Chip Kelly offense. So,
if there's a system for Colin Kaepernick, it's something similar to what Chip Kelly likes to run.
I've been saying it since he went there. Perfect quarterback for his system.
And we
are finally going to see what Chip Kelly's system is all about and what Colin Kaepernick can do in rejuvenating his career.
And we love comeback stories, and I think Colin Kaepernick might be the next one in the NFL.
They have the running back again to do it. Carlos Hyde, young back, played very well last year. Yep. They have bits and pieces here and there on that team. I think if anybody can do it, especially in the first year, it's going to be Chip Kelly because he's going to bring a new system to that offense.
But which one of those teams is the most dangerous if they get in the playoffs? And I think that is Seattle still.
Seattle, I think, is a wild card because you kind of just don't know what you're going to get from them. They're going to play good defense. And they did re-sign what's his name that came over? Brandon Browner. So he's part of the Legion of Boom again. He re-signed over there.
Get Jimmy Graham back.
You got Jimmy Graham back. You got to figure out how to use him.
Exactly.
Marshawn Lynch is done, though. He retired, so you hand over the reins to Thomas Rawls, which got injured last season.
And you lose guys like, Bruce Irvin.
Yeah. I mean, but
that's why I think those losses that happen when you build a championship team, you're going to have some salary cap casualties, that type of thing. And a lot of people, like I said, they think that Seattle's better days are done, and I just don't see that.
I mean, I will say that, Doug Baldwin showed that he can play with the best of them last year, basically having no one else at times to go to. Russell Wilson went to him and counted on him, and he actually pulled through. I love Tyler Lockett, loved him last year, loved him coming out of Kansas State, and I think that he has a lot more to bring to that offense, not even in just in the kick return game, but as a number 2 to Doug Baldwin as well this year. So I look for him to make leaps and bounds as far as steps over there. The Cardinals, though, I think are the team to beat in the division. Everything that I saw last year, David Johnson had an incredible year. So that pretty much solidifies the run and the pass game coming out of the backfield. For the Cardinals, they have some stud receivers over there. You have John Brown, which is, he can bust loose at any time. Obviously, Larry Fitzgerald. You have, what's his name? Malcolm
Floyd?
Or Malcolm Floyd. Yeah, Malcolm Floyd. Yes. Or Michael Floyd. There's 2 of them. One of them plays for the Chargers. But, yeah, so he made plays last year. And like I said, they solidified the defensive line with Robert Kimdichie and getting the trade for Chandler Jones. So they're going to bring the heat. It's all on Carson Palmer now. There's no going back.
And I don't know if that's a good thing.
I know. It was a good thing in the regular season last year, but as soon as they got to where it mattered, he crumbled. He crumbled like a cookie. So we're going to see if that's the case this year. I don't want to give him my prediction, but you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I have the Cardinals making the Super Bowl this year. I have the Arizona Cardinals making the Super Bowl in the NFC this year.
Mark it down.
Yep. I'm marking it down.
On a limb.
I'm marking it down, and I'll continue to say it because we have a lot of shows to go,
June
to the NFL season
at 2:28 Eastern.
You got it. You heard it here first. Making a prediction, whole nother level.
I'd like to see it. I like Bruce Arians. To me, I think he's a good coach. I'm glad he's finally getting the opportunity to be a head coach in the league after, my goodness, a bazillion years. Although I was sad to see him go as Pittsburgh's offensive coordinator years ago, but that's another story. But
they don't have any issues there in Pittsburgh on offense right now. I'll tell you that. But
the way go for 2 every time this year too.
I heard that there's a story about that they might do that. We'll see. I'd be curious to see if a season did that the entire length. We saw a lot at Oregon when Chip Kelly was there. They went for 2 a lot. He did it a little bit in Philadelphia, obviously not as much, but I'd be very, very interested to see if someone went for 2 like 75% of the time, how that stacked up against just basically kicking extra point. Because if you do miss the 2-point conversion, the next time you come get it, then it's basically like kicking an extra point twice.
I read a story, and it's something like 52% of the time the Steelers converted on 2s last year. So if you play that out and you do it by point per conversion, it's like 1.3 for going for 2 every time as opposed to kicking it, which is like 0.99999 because you can only get 1 point out of a kick.
And they actually had some kicking issues early in the season last year. They traded for
anymore.
Scobie. I think Sean Sweesum
was released yesterday.
He got released. So that was definitely one of their downfalls last year. So, I mean, if you're in that organization and 2 was working for you, why not go for it, the way that I see this division stacking up, I think the Cardinals are going to take the division. I do see the Seahawks getting in second. But I do see the Rams getting 7-9 last year is not bad for that team.
No.
You're bringing someone else. And who was the quarterback for them last year? Nick Foles?
Case Keenum,
Case
I think.
Keenum. So I think it was a combination of both throughout the season.
I think it was 3, actually.
So if Jared Goff can come in and play mistake-free football, it doesn't have to be great football. I know he's a rookie. It's hard to tell. It's hard to say.
And that's the thing is, you don't want to see Jameis Winston first game against the Titans, obviously.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can expect Jared Goff to play the way that Winston did, like
In
those final 12 games of the season, where, there were some dropped interceptions, things like that, but to only have 16 interceptions on the final 12 games for a rookie quarterback. I mean, that's phenomenal. That's why Winston was an all-pro this year. A Pro Bowler this year.
Yeah. And I think if they can get a Winston type season in entirety out of him, then that's way above what they are looking for.
And what are you looking for when you have a running back like a Todd Gurley? I mean, you're looking for a quarterback who can make a throw every once in a while and move those chains.
Convert on 3rd and short.
And
don't turn the ball over, and
occasional
play action passes. That's what you need to expect from Jared
Goff. Make your 3rd and 4s, make your 3rd and 3s, and don't make mistakes deep in your own territory. If you have to punt the ball, punt the ball.
And again, we're early on in the offseason. There's still going to be players that sign on teams. Anquan Bolden's not signed. Arian Foster is rehabbing. He'll be coming back. There's still players out there that are going to make an impact on a given team at certain points. So we're going to see who signs where and things like that.
Well, and unfortunately, injuries.
Yeah.
None of us are fortune tellers or anything like that, but it's funny how injuries even things out in the course of a season.
Well, Cam Newton will tell you if Kelvin Benjamin was on his roster last year, I think they have a really, really good chance of winning that Super Bowl game.
Is Jeff Fisher still the coach?
Jeff Fisher is still the coach of the L.A. Rams. Didn't he get an extension?
Jeez, my goodness.
Probably the worst extension in football.
I was going to say, but look, the Rams last year, 7-9, and there's games they lost that they had no business losing. That's what was so frustrating about them last year, was they played down to their level of competition a lot of times.
Well, I mean, they can't play down to it too much anymore because they were 7-9. They drafted a first-round quarterback, number 1 overall, so there's really only room for improvement in everyone else's eyes. If they start regressing with the number 1 quarterback that they took, then there's going to be questions to answer. And I think that it would have to be Jeff Fisher that's going to have to take responsibility for it, or get the responsibility as far as possibly him moving on finally. Who knows? But I mean, it's all a wait and see at this point. We're early on, but that's my take, especially on the NFC West. I think it goes the Arizona Cardinals. Then the Seattle Seahawks. I don't know if San Francisco is going to really rebound. So I'm going to go Los Angeles and then San Francisco. I pretty much think it's going to be exactly how it ended last year. And as far as records-wise, I could almost see the same records with I think the LA Rams are going to improve. I'll give them 8-8, and I think the 49ers will improve 2 games. So I'll give them 7-9. So I get 7-9 San Francisco, 8-8 at the Los Angeles Rams. Seahawks, I'm leaving it 10-6 until I see more from them, and then I like where the Cardinals are at. No, actually, I'm going to go 12-4 with the Cardinals.
You have the Seahawks making the playoffs?
I got to look at the landscape of all the other divisions first, so I don't know if I want to go ahead and throw that out there. I definitely think they're in the conversation 100%, but I also think some other teams are going to take steps forward. Oh man, if I had to guess right now, I'd probably say wild card for them though. If I had to just throw it out there right now. But I want to, before I make all of our playoff predictions and things like that, even though I already said that the Arizona Cardinals are going to make the Super Bowl. So I'm kind of binded to that already. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? How's the division going to stack up?
I have it basically what you said. I think the Cardinals will win the division, and I have the Seahawks making the playoffs as a wild card. Rams third. And
oh, wait, you don't want to go 3 for 3 again?
No. Nope.
I see Seattle possibly 11-5, Arizona at 10-6, and then I'm going to go with the Rams over the 49ers. However, I think that Colin Kaepernick could have a comeback season, and that's the X factor in that division. Let's go ahead and go with the Rams are going to stay at 7-9, and Colin Kaepernick and the 49ers will be 6-10, 7-9.
Okay, so he flip-flopped. He had Seattle. He had the Arizona Cardinals. All right, so I mean.
Well, you have Arizona already in the Super Bowl. I don't know if Arizona makes the playoffs.
You don't know if Arizona makes the playoffs there?
Correct. Yeah, I think it might be one of those things where we have 3 10-6 teams fighting for 2 positions.
That's crazy because I have them making the Super Bowl because I think that what they lacked last year, they got in free agency this year. So, but we're going to see, like I said. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and call it a day here. Whole nother level. Really appreciate all you guys listeners today. Next week, we have some big things going on as well, as it is 4th of July weekend. Also celebrating Eric Wilson's birthday. Eric Wilson will be back in the building alongside Frank Mazzei, Dwayne Lindo, Craig Cusson here. You listen to us on A Whole Nother Level. As always, have a fun, safe weekend.
Chief, mate, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
Autobots, transform and roll out!